Hi, I'm Rich Allen, your business coach. Hey, today I want to talk to you about a book that I read recently that I think has a powerful impact on how you approach your sales activity. You know, it's not too often you come across books that really do relate directly to what we do as small business owners to drive our business and grow our sales. But I believe this one has made a huge impact and will make a huge impact for you if you can take the lessons that you can get from it. The book is called To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink. And what I want to do today is I want to take you through a very high-level overview of the content of his book. And I want to put it in the context that I've laid out here on the wall. And let me just step you through it and talk about the things that he suggests that you do in terms of behaviors. In other words, the way that you are, the B, I'll call it, your behaviors, and then talk about the things that he suggests that you do. And the reason I want to put it into this context is it's a simple formula. If you want to be successful, in other words, if you want to have success, as it shows here on the wall, you have to do two things. You have to have your mindset in the right place. In other words, you have to be the right kind of person. You have to think the right kind of thoughts and behave the right ways. And you also then have to multiply that by what you do. So be times do equals have. It's a simple formula, but one that's really powerful. And one that I believe if you take a hold of, you'll really see the power that it can generate in your business. So let me dive right in, and I want to talk about To Sell is Human and the concepts that Daniel brings out. You know, it used to be that the ABCs of selling were always be closing. That's kind of the old school method. That's the way that it used to be done when it was really high impact, high pressure selling. Today it's very different. And according to Daniel, he's retermed the ABCs as attunement, buoyancy, and clarity. Attunement, buoyancy, and clarity. Now let me take you through each one of those real quickly and give you just a bit about what it means. Attunement is how tuned in you are to your prospects. It's how much are you relating to them as individuals and their needs, rather than you coming at it as you're selling what you have to offer and worrying more about yourself. So in attunement, there are a few things you have to do. First, you have to reduce your power. So the arrow's going down. You have to lower your power. You're not going into a selling situation in a powerful, strong way. You're going in subduing your power, meaning that you're going to ask questions. In fact, what I've written is you're going to play a little dumb. You're going to ask very simple questions. In other words, you're going to bring yourself down, not act like you know all the answers, but really ask inquisitive, probing questions about them to get more in tuned into your prospect. The second thing you're going to do is add perspective. Now, some people suggest that there's a difference between using your head or using your heart, having empathy. And the data suggests that while both are powerful, it's actually more powerful in a selling situation to actually use your head to help your prospect find or figure out the problem that they're dealing with. So your perspective has to do with both empathizing with their situation, but engaging with them mentally to try to solve the problem or the issue that they're dealing with today. So you've got to reduce your power, come down and ask a lot of probing questions, and then use your head to help find the right solutions to the issues that they're dealing with. The third thing you have to do to help you be in attunement, tuned in, is to do what is called strategic mimicry. And that is, if your prospect shares something with you, the right approach is to repeat that back to them, to reflect what they're saying directly back. So you need to mimic their responses. So if they suggest that I think the problem might be this, your response could be, so what I hear you saying is, you feel like this and this and this. Is that right? That might be a great way to mimic what they said and give them some opportunity to see that you're listening intently, and get them, obviously, in that case, to just say yes more frequently. Yes, that's exactly what I mean. And it'll put you in the mindset and the mind frame of them. The last thing that Daniel suggests is that the role that you're playing is as an ambivert. Now, you may not have heard that term before, but most of us think of either being an extrovert, very outgoing, or an introvert, very internally focused and perhaps shy and evading people. What he has found in his studies is that the most successful salespeople, in fact, aren't extreme extroverts, nor are they introverts, but they are in the middle. He calls them ambiverts. They're people who have the ability to be chameleons, if you will, and move with the situation. So they aren't overly dominant, nor are they so shy that they can't make their points very well, but they live somewhere in the middle. It's kind of an ambivert position. So if you want to stay tuned into your people, the A of Daniel's ABC in selling is reduce your power, add some perspective, use your head to help them find some solutions to their problems, use strategic mimicry, in other words, share back to them directly, here's what I heard you say, and then be in a balanced position. Don't be overly aggressive, don't be overly shy, be kind of in an ambivert position in the middle. Attunement. The second part of his ABCs is what he calls buoyancy. And the reason buoyancy is important is because in the selling situation, there are often times when we face rejection. And we have to be able to deal with the rejection of multiple sales calls and multiple contacts with prospects, because not everybody's going to need what we are offering right now today. It may not be the right time for them. It may not be the right solution for the problem that they have. So we've got to be able to be buoyant. What he calls it is we have to be buoyant in an ocean of rejection. We've got to be able to stay afloat. So there are three things we can do to stay afloat. One is before we need to, rather than, there is an approach that many of us have used, and I certainly have encouraged people to do, and that is to have I am statements. Be self-proclaiming. I'm good, I'm successful, I'm a good communicator, I'm good at my trade, and to build yourself up. What Daniel has found is that interrogative self-talk is actually even more powerful than declarative self-talk. So I'm not going to declare that I'm good, I'm going to ask the question, can I do it? In fact, he uses this idea and says, we ought to learn from somebody that maybe your kids know, or that you've seen on the TV, Bob the Builder, where he, when he gets into a tough situation, asks the question, can we fix it? And it's an interrogative self-talk. So it's asking himself a question. And Daniel suggests that allows your mind to start doing two things. One is you start to come up with answers to your question. So you start to say to yourself, and internally you say, yes, I can fix it, and here's how I can. And secondly, you begin to strategize. You begin to come up with the solutions on how you might present it. So it helps you position yourself for the meeting that you're going to have with your prospect if you start doing interrogative self-talk before the visit. Now, during an exchange and while you're in the selling process, in order to retain this buoyancy, it's important to maintain a healthy level of positivity. Now, obviously, we've got to stay positive, but we can't be overly positive. In fact, Daniel's found in his studies that there's a ratio of positivity ratio of something above 3 to 1. 3 times being positive, 1 time having a negative thought is enough to keep you buoyant. But if your positivity gets too over the top, in other words, somewhere closer to 10 or 11 to 1, you're kind of in the la-la land. You're not really in dealing with reality. You're overly optimistic. So there's this balance of positivity that you've got to maintain throughout it. So if you find you or someone on your team who's always talking themselves down, being negative, get them to lift themselves up. Get them to say positive self-talk rather than deal with the negativity. And then after the exchange, the point is to use to deal with your explanatory style. Now, explanatory style essentially is how do you deal with the situation that you have just encountered. And explanatory styles can be of one of two forms. It can either be personal, pervasive, and permanent. This is a devastating form of explanatory style. In other words, it's all about me. It's happening all the time, and it's never going to change. That can bring you down. That can destroy your ability to sell and to relate to people. So the suggestion is to change your explanatory style to one where it's external, it's specific, and it's temporary. In other words, it doesn't have to do with you. It has to do with the environment, something that's going on around you. It's specific to an issue. There's something that's going on that has caused the sale or the conversation not to go the way that you'd wanted it to go, and it's temporary. It's a right now thing that will change over time. So if you want to stay buoyant in your selling activities, interrogative self-talk before, positivity ratio, a good balance during and afterwards, having an explanatory style that focuses on external, specific, and temporary so that it doesn't become yourself, pervasive, and permanent. So there's the A, there's the B. The C in Daniel's formula is clarity. And clarity, in Daniel's terms, is how do you help your prospect identify the problem that they're really trying to solve. Now, the point is that there's a vast amount of information available to us over the internet and through search capabilities. So solving a problem is no longer the magic formula. It's not solving a problem, it's finding the right problem. So you have to be a problem finder. You got to be able to ask the questions, make sure that you're asking the right kinds of questions and engaging with your prospect in a way that you can help them find the problem that they really have. Get them clarity on that. The second piece you have to do is frame up the issue. And framing has a lot to do with asking the question, your situation is this, and it's not good compared to what? So framing is all about identifying the compared to what statement. So this isn't good, this could be better as compared to what? And so helping them, the client, the prospect, get to that right frame is a good way for them to add clarity, for you to add clarity to them. And the third thing in the area of clarity is helping them know that there are off-ramps. So if they're going to do business with you, if they're going to use your product or your service, there needs to be off-ramps that are clear and available. And those off-ramps come in the form of options, alternatives, or guarantees. In other words, if this doesn't work, then we'll try this, or if this doesn't work, then I will guarantee you that we'll go back and we'll do this. So if you want to add clarity in your selling process, you'll be a problem finder as much as a problem solver. You'll frame things up, this is the situation, and as compared to that, it could be different, and have off-ramps. have options, have guarantees, so that they don't feel like they're trapped once they make a decision. So that reflects how we need to behave. That's the B side of who we are as selling humans, according to Daniel. Now let me talk through very quickly on the do side. This is what we have to do, because we could have this mindset all we wanted, but if we didn't do anything, where would we go? It wouldn't do us any good. We wouldn't make any progress. So we have to actually go do some things. He suggests that we do 3 things. We pitch, we improvise, and we serve. Pitch, improvise, and serve. Let me talk very quickly about the pitch. In the pitch area, it used to be that we'd have a 30-second pitch. It's an elevator pitch, as some call it. And Daniel would suggest that that's not enough in today's environment. Today you have to have 6 different types of pitches. Let me talk you through those 6 pitches really quickly here. The 6 pitches. A one-word pitch. What's the dominant word that suggests the power or the impact that your product or service would have in your marketplace? So what's that one powerful word that you might use if you're using a one-word pitch? A question pitch. What's the question that if you ask the question, it would be compelling and it would be thought-provoking to the point that someone would want to learn more about you? Rhyming pitch. Rhyming is always a way to stick into people's minds and get them to remember you. So could you take your message, one of your key messages about your business, and put it in a short but catchy rhyme? The subject line pitch. Many of our presentations really come through email today. So, and that's getting people to get past the subject line to actually read the content of what we're intending to the message we want them to hear. So what's a compelling, strong subject line that's intriguing enough, clever enough, and impactful enough to get someone to read further? The Twitter pitch. Social media is a buzz, and a lot of people are looking and interacting with social media. So what's your 144 character pitch? Perhaps maybe less than that so someone could retweet it. But what's your Twitter pitch? That short but distinct, clever statement that lets somebody say, I want to know more about that person. And then lastly, the Pixar pitch. The Pixar pitch being, what's the story that you could tell about your business that has the power of a feature animated movie, let's say. And the Pixar pitch is unique in that it's got a very specific structure to it. Here's the Pixar pitch. It goes like this. Once upon a time, this was the situation. Every day, this happened. Then one day, something occurred. Might have to do with your product or service. Because of that, these things improved. Because of that, this got better. Until finally, there was something that was a positive outcome. The structure of a Pixar pitch. The question is, could you do that for your business? If you do, it'd be very powerful. Now, there's the 6 pitches. You've got to ask yourself 3 questions with each one of those. What do you want your customer, your prospect to know? What do you want your prospect to feel? And what do you want your prospect to do? So what do you want them to know? What do you want them to feel? And what do you want them to do? Get that clear in 6 different versions of a pitch, and you're on your way to having success in selling today. That's the pitch. Secondly, you need to improvise. Selling used to be a series of step-by-step activities that led to an outcome. And they were fairly well defined, and they were always, you followed the recipe, if you will. In today's world, that recipe doesn't hold very well. There's too many distractions, there's too many different variables, and today's environment doesn't lend itself well to a long, lengthy, step-by-step selling process. So you've got to improvise, improvisational selling, if you will. There are 3 steps to improvisational selling. Here are the 3 steps. First is, as you're in the process of tuning into your prospect, You have to be listening very intently and hear offers. So you have to hear when people have something that they want to, that they're willing to do with you. So rather than have a one-size-fits-all or only a single program that they can enroll in or participate with, you need to listen closely for when they're suggesting that they might do business with you if this were the case. So you have to hear offers. Second thing you have to do is use this technique called yes and. So when you hear that offer, respond to it in the affirmative, yes, and we could do this. And when they respond after that, yes, and we could do this. So use yes and as a way to continue to multiply and push forward the ideas that come up in your selling discussion, in your discussion with your prospects. And the third element of improvisational selling is to make them look good. Your goal out of your interaction with your prospect is to help them look good no matter what the outcome. Whether that means that the sale is enacted or not, you always want them to leave there looking good, feeling good, because who knows who they're going to talk to. So you have to hear offers, use the technique of yes and to move that offer forward, and help make them look good. That's what will drive you in the selling process as you pitch along the way. The last part of the do is to serve. Serve first. You hear this all the time. It's fairly popular now. Rather than upsell people, we want to upserve people. We want folks to get something in advance of them making a decision. The best way to get people to connect with you and to do business with you is to serve them first, and then wait, and the theory of reciprocity will kick in. In other words, you do something good for them, they're going to feel obligated and want to do something good for you. So you have to serve first. Serving first has two general principles with it. The first principle is you want to be personal. So whatever you do to serve, it's got to be personal. It's got to be directly to them, not in a general sense, but very personal. The second principle is that it's got to be purposeful. So something that's meaningful, something that matters, something that they see as value. If you can make it personal and purposeful, they'll respond to that in a very powerful way. And one way that you can determine whether your serving is really getting to the mark, is doing the things that you want them to do, is ask yourself two questions. First, will doing what you're going to give them or doing what you're going to do for them for free, will it improve their life? Will their life improve? So in other words, will it be a huge benefit to them personally? And secondly, will the world be a better place? Will you do something that makes lift everybody's situation by doing it? In other words, giving a hand, lending a hand, doing something that's purposeful in your industry, in your trade, in your profession. That's the measure of whether you're going to serve well. So if you want to dive in and look at a different way of selling, I strongly encourage you to pick up Daniel's book, To Sell is Human, and get comfortable with this idea that the ABC of selling has to do with attunement, buoyancy, and clarity. And along with that, once we get that down in terms of our mindset and where we're going, that our actions, our activity ought to be to get really clear on the 6 pitches that we do, get good at improvisational selling, and serve first. We do those things together, our success is guaranteed. It's going to be a win for them and for you. I hope this has been beneficial to you. My name's Rich Allen, your business coach. If you have questions, you know how you can get them to me, or leave them here below this video, and I'll be glad to respond to you and make sure that you have what you need to do the kind of selling that you want to make your business successful. Have a great day. We'll talk soon. Ride hard.